Laying back, it's Friday. Just wanted to shoot this video, and one of the things that I wanted to address today is the whole aspect of of waiting till it's perfect, right? So plenty of like every time I go and I'm working with these clients, um, they always they always have to perfect it, and there's no problem with perfecting it, right? I think there's a time and place when you absolutely need to put your very best foot forward, and you absolutely need to make sure that the product does what it's supposed to do. But the problem with that is it could that process shouldn't take more than a few weeks or a few hours, and now with AI, like a few hours to to maybe a day or 2 days, and that's it. Like the whole idea of launching is not even about, it's not really about perfection. It's more about putting stuff out, right? Testing, right? It's more about testing because your idea to test ratio is actually what is reducing the feedback loop between idea to test is what will really get you to the point where you can very quickly test a lot of ideas, and some of them are going to be hits. Like it's a numbers game, right? And more important, it's not even just a numbers game, it's a pattern recognition game, right? You'll start noticing, oh, I'm seeing some patterns here. I'm starting to see like, oh, this is actually resonating with my audience and this is not, right? But the problem is a lot of times people don't get to that point, to that critical point where, hey, you've identified what the patterns are, and then all of a sudden now your batting average has gone up, which means that now you're putting out great content, or you're putting out great ideas that are converting into revenue, converting into community, converting into the product market fit, or people really getting like what you do. And everyone has that one luck, one home run that in a lifetime you're going to get at least one home run. But the problem is a lot of times people don't get to that home run status because they're constantly self-doubting themselves and constantly believing that, oh, it has to be perfect before you launch. Now, if there's one thing that I would definitely recommend is just put out a lot of stuff and then just see what sticks. And I think the deeper rooted problem here is not that you're a perfectionist. It's just that there's that fear of failure, right? The fear of failure. What if I put it out and then no one actually resonates with it? Or what if, I put it out and it's a flop, Now I'm a flop. And that's not really what it means. It doesn't mean you're a flop. It just simply means the idea you had wasn't that great, right? And so don't, I mean, what else? Just move on, get on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And then very soon you're going to be like, maybe I'm not spending enough time. And sometimes you need that exposure so that that exposure is what actually now challenges you, because in your mind, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And when you launch, right, it's forcing you to actually come to grips with that reality that maybe you're not the most incredible or the best in sliced bread, right? And that reality, that self check, that being grounded, is what will force you now to literally be like, I've been proven wrong. So now I need to prove myself. Not to anybody, but to myself. That I have the chops, that I could absolutely do this. But a lot of people don't get to that point. And the reason why you never get to that point is because you're always like this fear of internalization of, oh, if I launch it and I fail, people are going to judge me. So what? You know what I mean? So what if they judge you? You know? And I'm telling you, it's such a tough thing because number one, people are not even going to judge you. Like very few people care. And then I think the second thing is that you're probably doing something right when people are starting to judge you, right? You're probably doing something right. No one's ever accomplished anything that was never judged. That's just the reality of the matter. No one's ever accomplished anything without being judged. So it's just normalize it, right? Just make it a part of your identity. Like you're going to be judged. At least you're giving them fuel, right? You're giving them fuel to actually judge you by your standard, because by you not doing anything doesn't mean you're not getting judged. You're still getting judged, but now you're getting judged with the wrong data. The things that you can't even attribute to. But when you come up with all the things that you're doing and you're being judged, or you're too arrogant, or you're too this, or you're too ambitious, or who told you that could work, right? At least you're giving them fuel, right? And that's one way to look at it, right? You're giving them the real fuel so that now they can judge you accordingly. They could judge you with data, right? It's weird, but yeah, you're being judged with data. Can you imagine being judged without data? That's awful, right? But now you've actually taken full control of that judgment. So give them the data so that they could judge you accordingly, right? But yeah, it's just iterations, right? Like Naval Ravikant says, it's not repetitions, it's iterations. And the difference between repetitions and iterations is that repetitions, you're not even involved, you're not immersed, you're just doing it like a robot, right? Robot. No. You're doing it like a robot, right? You're just doing it, to get your cycles, right? But when you do it with intent, one repetition is just nothing, because everyone says, oh, it's repetitions. Repetition is just you doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, But the difference between a repetition and an iteration is that an iteration, you're conscious, you're awake, you're paying attention to the pattern recognition. You're seeing, okay, what is causing this thing? And what if I tried it differently? You're running experiments. That's essentially what it is. You're running experiments. You're thinking like a scientist. And a scientist doesn't just, besides starting with the premise, they go in and then they question. So you're bringing your curious mind. And that's the difference between repetitions and iterations. So hopefully you had a great weekend. I'll start doing these every Friday. I know I keep on saying that, but man, I get that I'm not perfect, but I'll start putting something out every Friday. Hopefully I'll stick to this. Every Friday I think I could do it. Cheers, take care.